Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto Was a Genius with Kyuubi Powers, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The Yamanaka flower shop's bell rung, signaling the entrance of a customer. I'll be right there, Ino called from the back. They had just got a shipment of purple petunias. She carefully laid down a large crate full of the delicate flowers and headed out to the front. There stood a man in a white coat, hood up so that it covered his head. The kanji fox was on his back. Hey Naruto, Ino said, recognizing the coat. Hey Ino, he said, turning so that his smiling face met her eyes. Guess what day today is? He said. Ino looked at the calendar, nothing too significant about today, except their petunia shipment. I don't know. 2 days after Christmas. Oh, so very close, he said, a smile playing on his lips. Okay, what is it? Ino asked, you know something, what is it? Naruto kept smiling, and kept silent, wanting to know how long it'd take her before she blew a gasket. Naruto, she said gently. He kept smiling. Naruto, sterner this time. Nothing but a smile. Naruto, she said, slightly angry. Naruto's lips didn't move. Naruto, she exploded like a volcano. It's Hinata's birthday. Naruto said simply. Huh? She asked, taken off guard by the simple statement. Suddenly it registered in her mind. Really? Yes, really. I can't believe I missed that, she said, realizing that the answer was so plain. I can. Now I need 12 white roses. And 12 lilies. What kind of lilies? There are kinds, Naruto asked. Ino looked shocked. What do you mean there are kinds? I wasn't aware that there was any other kind of lily than lilies. Ino sighed. Follow me. She led him to the back room and sat him down. You're getting a crash course in floristry. She pulled down a projector screen and walked to the back of the room where a projector sat. She pulled out 2 different boxes, each one containing several slides. You have a notebook on you? Ah, no. I was expecting a lesson. How good's your memory? She asked, holding a slide to the light. Sufficient. It will do. She hit the lights. As you know, flowers have meanings. Up on the screen appeared a delicate-looking flower. Each type of flower has a different meaning. Example, the calla lily means majestic beauty, while the orange lily means hatred and disdain, wealth, or pride. I see. Well, I'll need to make a note not to get her orange lilies. I'm not done yet, Ino said indignantly. Day lilies mean coquetry. What now? Coquetry. It means flirt. Why? While white lilies mean majesty, purity, and virginity. Then there is the lily of the valley, they mean purity, humility, and sweetness. Those ones, I want 6 of those and 6 white ones. Who said I was done? Sorry. Now we have roses. Oh, boy, I'll give you the lowdown. Bridal rose, happy love, Carolina rose, love is dangerous, Christmas rose, peace and tranquility, coral or an orange rose, enthusiasm, desire, dark pink rose, thank you, light pink rose, admiration, musk rose, capricious beauty, pale rose, friendship. She took a breath. Peach rose, let's get together, closing of the deal, pink rose, love, grace, gentility, you're so lovely, perfect happiness, please believe me, pink and white roses, I love you still and always will. Another breath. Red rose, love, desire, respect, courage, job well done, red and yellow rose, congratulations, white rose, charm, secrecy, silence, your heavenly, reverence, humility, youthfulness and innocence rose, white on red, unity out of lower emblem of England, yellow rose, infidelity, joy, gladness, friendship, jealousy, welcome back, remember me, yellow and orange rose, passionate thoughts. She took a deep breath. Naruto waited for her to go on. When she didn't, he asked, is that all? Yeah, I think. Okay then, I'd like to make my order. Of course. 6 lily of the valleys, 6 white lilies and 12 pink and white roses. Of course. She took out a small notebook, jotted the order down, "If you'll please wait in the front." Naruto nodded, then headed out into the foyer. He found a chair and seated himself until Ino would come back. He did not have to wait long. In less than a minute, Ino came out holding a bouquet of pink and white flowers. "Here you go. Normally I make you pay full price, but I'll give you a discount. It's not every day that a good friend of mine has her birthday." "Thanks, Ino." He paid and headed for the door. When he opened it, a gust of wind charged through the door, blowing Naruto's hood off his head. Ino gasped. Fox ears, standing right on top of Naruto's head. Quickly, Naruto pulled his hood back over his head. He turned to Ino, a hint of raising panic visible in his eyes. "You didn't see anything." Before Ino could say anything, Naruto was out the door. Naruto sighed. All his life he seemed to walk a lonely path. He had walked around with the ears on his head for a couple of days, but people began to look at him funny. He even saw the familiar glare of hatred in a couple of eyes. Why? What had he done to them? Sure, Kyuubi attacked Konoha, but not on his free will. Even if he did, why am I hated so much? What have I done to deserve this? So, when things began to heat up, Naruto made a hood for his coat. He could blame it on the cold for a couple of months, but what if his ears lasted longer than that? Well, I'll come to that bridge when I cross it, but now, I have a hind to pamper. Hinata took a swig of water from a small water bottle. She was training. She had begun by beating a training dummy to a pulp, then she ran through her ninjutsus once or twice. In fact, she had finally perfected the vortex punch jutsu. Now it was time for her invention. I still have to come up with a name for it, she thought. She pulled the silver tube from her kunai holster and aimed at a training dummy. Suddenly she swung the 8-inch tube as if it were a sword. The tube's end seemed to break off. It flew for the dummy, connected to the end Hinata held by a zip line. It quickly wrapped around its target. Hinata pulled back, and the line tightened around the helpless victim. Hinata then pushed a tiny silver button on the side of the tube. The effect was instantaneous. A bolt of electricity ran down the length of the zip line, and landed the target a serious blow. If it were a normal person, he, or she, would be unconscious, or worse. She hit another button and the zip line retracted, pulling the dummy with it. Haven't thought about that, she thought. Dragging the body along the line wasn't necessarily a good or a bad thing. It was good in the fact that it would make capturing enemies easier. It was bad in the fact that it took too long for her to reload it. When the line was finished retracting, she untangled the smoking piece of aimed at one of said cloth's brothers. This time, however, she shot up, towards the ceiling. Instead of the tip simply breaking off, it grew a claw-like appendage which dug into the wood. She held on and swung on the line, successfully kicking the mannequin in the head. Then again she retracted the line, after pushing a third button to release the claw. Then she pushed a fourth button. The tube's ends grew until it was just a head shorter than she was, making a powerful bow staff. She pushed the button again and the tube shrunk to its original size. Now we both have something. Naruto the Hiraishin no Jutsu, Kyuubi has his Biju powers, and I have this. She stared at the silver tube. The Fox Tube, she whispered. It was a fitting name, especially for a clan that revolved around foxes. Suddenly Naruto burst into the room, his hands behind his back. Happy birthday, Princess of the Skies. He kissed her and then pulled out the bouquet from behind his back. Oh, Naruto, they're beautiful. I had hoped they would be, or Ino's lesson would have been useless. Never mind. Suddenly he picked her up. As for you, you are not to do anything for the rest of the day. He brought her into the living room, laid her on the bed, and made 2 cage bunshin. We are here to serve you, Hinata Haim. She laughed. Naruto, you do this every year, and it's the least I can do. One of the cage bunshin took off her shoes and began to massage her feet. The other one came up to her. Can I take your order, madam? She laughed again, then surrendered to Naruto's pampering. 3 cinnamon rolls, a small bowl of ramen, and a glass of soda, please. Of course, he said, before walking to the kitchen. The real Naruto sat next to her face and played with her hair. So what did you do while I was gone? Nothing much, I did a little training. I also tested and named the Fox Tube, she said, pulling it out for him to see. And does it work? Yes. That's wonderful. The waiter shadow clone came up. Lunch is served. Naruto picked up the chopsticks to the ramen and began to feed Hinata. Naruto, you don't have to feed me. I want to. Will you please let me? She looked lovingly at him, then opened her mouth to receive the noodles. Thank you, he said, as he carefully led the noodles into her mouth. Each mouthful was followed by a kiss. They continued until the food was finished. Then Naruto snuggled up with her. I love you, my princess. I love you too, my prince. She reached underneath his hood and scratched the back of his ear. She had discovered not too long ago that the back of Naruto's ear were very sensitive, and when they were scratched, it was as if heaven had come to him. He made with the pleasure that followed. I love you so much. Kyuubi was never a sap for romance. That's why he never stayed with the kits on Hinata's birthday. Or at least that's what they thought. The real reason was nowhere close to what they thought. He missed his mate. He missed his kits. True, Naruto and Hinata had become the closest thing to family he had, but the memories of his first love still haunted him. It was only 16 years ago. And while a human can get over someone's death in that amount of time, 16 years is a very short time for a Biju. He sat on top of the Hokage monument, overlooking the city. It was nearly sundown. He sighed. He could see her face. Her cute little black nose, her amazingly beautiful orange fur. She was definitely fitting of her name, Kajin Beauty. Even when she walked the earth as a human, she was beautiful. Her long, midnight black hair that came down to her back, her fiery green eyes. She had a spirit of a warrior. He sighed. The hole she left was too large to refill. A puff of smoke appeared behind him. Jasmine stood, in human form, behind him. Kyuubi-sama, are you feeling okay? He sighed. Probably Naruto wanting to check up on him. Tell Naruto I'm fine. She looked to the ground. Actually, I'm here on my own will. He looked at her. She wondered if it was best to continue. I know why you promoted me. It's because Kajin. Again she hesitated, but she was committed now, and I was worried about you. Ever since Naruto-sama and Hinata-sama got together, you spent Hinata's birthdays alone. Your point, Kyuubi said, anger in his voice. It's just that I was hoping to keep you from being too alone. She said, as if it were a question. So what, you're going to sit with me? Kyuubi said, half angrily. May I? No, you can't. Kyuubi yelled. What made you think I would let you sit with me? I want to be alone. Can't a fox mourn the death of his family in peace? Jasmine stood in silence, head bowed, eyes to the ground. Kyuubi sat back on the ledge with a humph. Jasmine looked up at him for a brief second. If it's any condolence, my family SD also. Why would I want to hear another sob story? I have one myself. Leave. Jasmine turned, tears in her eyes, and disappeared in a puff of smoke. In a dimension not too different from our own, a woman walked into her house, ran into her bedroom, and began to cry. She had long, blonde hair and two deep blue eyes that had gotten more men lost in them than there were grains of sand on the shore. Now they were red from crying. This was Jasmine, at home in Kitsunegakure, the village hidden in the fox. I just wanted to cheer him up. That night she cried herself to sleep. Kyuubi walked into the Namika's mansion, guilt bearing down on him. You didn't have to yell at her, his conscience said. I know. She just wanted to sit with you. I know. You didn't have to push her away. I know. You should apologize. I know. Then why don't you? The question stopped him cold. Why didn't he apologize? It's not like anything hung in the balance. Then why not? I'm letting her cool down. I acted like a jerk. She's probably mad at me and wouldn't listen to his apology. I'll apologize later. That's not it. Yes, it is. No, it's not. He couldn't argue. That wasn't the reason why. Then why? Are you embarrassed? Embarrassed wasn't the word. Ashamed, maybe, but not embarrassed. Why would you be ashamed? Because he belittled the death of her family to a sob story. If someone other than him had done so to his story, he would K the man. Kyuubi walked into the living room to see the two kids asleep on the couch, holding each other. So much love. Love is pain to some, he thought, thinking of a small boy from the village of the hidden rain. He thought no more about it and headed to his room. Naruto woke, laying beside his angel. He kissed her again, and headed downstairs. His shadow clones left his back in knots. He needed a hot bath. He went downstairs to his family's artificial hot springs. He undressed and gladly welcomed the soothing heat that came when he lowered his body into the water. He sat, watching his tail move through the water, happy to see that the fur he had there was thick enough for it to keep from showing the F of the tail. His ear twitched. He turned and saw Hinata. She wore a towel around her waist and a pink bikini top. Two things jumped through Naruto's mind. 1. She was beautiful. 2. He was N. She removed the towel and eased into the water. Naruto shifted to the other end of the pool. You know, the whole day you have done nothing but pamper me, and I haven't said, thank you, yet. Naruto was slightly panicking, trying of a way to figure out how to get out of this mess. She approached him. He retreated to the left. She approached him again. He retreated again. She approached him again, smiling. He retreated again, only to bump into something on his left. Naruto looked left, Hinata, smiling. He looked right, Hinata smiling. Darn her shadow clones, he thought as he slowly sank into the water. Both Hinatas stared at his ears, which just stood above the surface, with mischievous grins on their faces. Now, one asked. Wait, the other responded. Now. They both dove into the water, trying to get a hold on their slippery prey. Finally they caught him. They pulled him to the surface. One of them puffed away, leaving Hinata sitting in front of him. As I was saying, thank you. She gave him a long and passionate kiss. A cough sounded behind them. They turned to see Kyuubi standing in front of the spring's door. Sorry to interrupt your sappy romance moment, but I have a bathing suit for Naruto. Sappy? Hinata asked indignantly, while Naruto began reaching for the trunks. Thanks Q. X. Sunday rubbed her aching head. Things were not going well to say the least. There had been 3 attacks in 2 days. She couldn't believe they hadn't caught them yet. These guys were as arrogant as they could be. They practically signed the names wherever they attacked. They were called the Sound 4. Tsunade sighed. Apparently, her former teammate had some cronies that weren't too happy. It was ridiculous. She had sent everyone after these guys, well, almost everyone. There was one more team she could try. She snapped her fingers, and an Anbu captain appeared in front of her. Get me Team Fox, she ordered. The Anbu nodded then left. Team Fox entered the Hokage's office. They each came prepared for a mission. Naruto was wearing his hood to hide his ears, but his gear remained the same. Hinata wore the same gear as before with the exception of a small silver tube that was stuck in her vest's pocket. Kyuubi wore the same as he always did, black shirt and pants with a red vest. He looked slightly downtrodden. Good morning, Tsunade-sama, Naruto said. Tsunade looked at the clock hanging on the wall. Good afternoon. His alarm clock didn't sound this morning. Hinata said, explaining Naruto's choice of greeting. Tsunade nodded. I see. But on another matter, you have probably guessed, I have a mission for you. She looked up at the 3 eager ninjas. Have you ever heard of the Sound 4? No, I don't think so. Hinata answered. Not really, Kyuubi said. Wasn't it a rock band? Naruto asked. The Sound 4 is what's left of Orochimaru's ninja forces. Ah, the team said in unison. And to put it simply, they're a bunch of sore losers. So I take it they've been attacking Konoha. Naruto said. Yes, they've made 3 attacks in 2 days' time. I see. Why have you chosen us, though? Naruto asked. Because every other team I sent failed to catch them. Well, if you will give my team a second to discuss this. Of course. Naruto called a huddle and the hushed voices of his teammates was all the Hokage heard. Then they broke and Naruto stepped up to the Hokage's desk. We'll do it, but we'll need a report on all of the hit locations until now. I will get it to you as soon as possible. Tsunade said. Just deliver to the Namika's mansion. I'll have a shadow clone waiting. Will do, and good luck. After receiving the dossier, the team started using the information to find the next possible target. The first day they had attacked the north side of the Uchiha compound. The second day they attacked the south side of the compound and they attacked a small street that Naruto recognized as the street with Sakura's house on it. Well, it seems obvious that they want a shot at Sasuke, after who is at the Uchiha compound other than him. Naruto said. The only thing that baffles me is why they went to that street. It looks like we have to pay Sasuke a visit then. Hinata said. Naruto agreed and they started for Sasuke's house. When they arrived they smelled the scent of baking snickerdoodles. Naruto knocked on the door. The door opened and Naruto stepped inside. Never thought you were the baking type, Sasuke. He said as he pushed past Sasuke. Sasuke steezed himself against the wall as Naruto came by. Please come in. He said with enough sarcasm in his voice to fill a bucket. He began to close the door. I think we will, Hinata said, her foot suddenly in the doorway. Sasuke looked back surprised, and then quickly reopened the door. Sorry. As soon as Hinata and Kyuubi entered, Sasuke closed the door. So I'm assuming you're here about the attacks made on the compound. Yes, that's why we're here. Well, shouldn't you be investigating the areas they crashed in on? No, we know why they came here. What we want to know is what they were doing near Sakura's house. Sasuke jumped. What? Sakura? Is she alright? Sit down, Lovebird, Hinata said. She's fine. Lovebird, Sasuke said indignantly. Hinata simply stared at him with a knowing glare. Anyway, Naruto began, we gathered from the fact that they attacked the compound twice that they want you, so why would they go to Sakura's street? There was silence for a second or two, and then Sasuke said, well, would you believe I needed a cup of sugar? The team looked at each other. I found my mom's cookbook, and she used to make the greatest snickerdoodles, so I tried to make some. Halfway through the recipe, I found out I didn't have enough sugar. So I ran to the closest person who would for sure let me borrow some. They must have seen me. Oh, if anybody got hurt, I'll never forgive myself. Hey, relax, okay. Nobody was hurt, Naruto said. Are you sure? Yes, we got a full report on all their attacks, Hinata answered. Anyway, one more question, we need to know when they have been attacking. Naruto said. It's always just after sundown. Alright, Naruto turned. Oh, one more thing, we're going to need your help. Sundown. How melodramatic, Sasuke thought as he stood in the center of the Uchiha compound, and so cliché, at that. A soft breeze blew by, rustling some leaves nearby. Hello, Sasuke, a voice said behind him. Sasuke turned without so much as batting an eyelid. The sound four, I presume. Before him stood 4 figures, each wearing a gray tunic, on which was printed a pure white yin-yang. You presume correctly. One of them said, he was large and had an orange mohawk hairstyle. You presume correctly. Another one said, this one was a girl who had fiery red hair and a sheath-like object hanging from her belt. What the F underscore? That is the F underscore-ing stupidest piece of S to ever crawl out of your F underscore-ing mouth. Lass shouldn't use that kind of language. The large one said. Excuse me for interrupting your little dialogue here, Sasuke said, but why are you here? We are here for you. Another one said, he had a darker shade of skin and 6 arms. Well, sorry to tell you this, but I'm spoken for. You see, there's this girl I like and. Well, aren't you the funny one? The last one said, he looked normal for the most part, except for a large growth on his back that looked a lot like another head. Saken, don't insult him, we do want him to accept our offer. The man with 6 arms said. Whatever, Kidomaru, you just did that so you could suck up to the boss. Saken said. Shut the F underscore up. The both of you. What I did to deserve working with a bunch of sheeds like you, I'll never know. The redhead said. Tayuya, please stop using language like that. Shut up, farta $. She retorted. Sasuke cleared his tea. The 4 sound nins stopped their bickering and looked at him. Your offer. Ah, yes, Jirubo. Kidomaru offered. The large one stepped forward. We are aware of your cursed seal. That sure is to the point. Yes, we, having seals like it, know that you can acquire a new stage in this seal, and there are 2 ways to do it. The first is having it slowly integrate itself with you. However, when it does, you will or you can take a drug that Orochimaru perfected, which will allow you to revive afterward. Hang on, let me get this straight. The only way to unlock the level 2 curse seal is to Yes. And that's what Orochimaru told you. There was silence for a second. Yes. Well, I don't know how to break it to you, but you've been screwed. What the F underscore are you talking about? Tayuya asked. I unlocked it by training my butt off. There was complete silence. Tayuya recovered first. What the F underscore? He F underscore ing lied to us. We work our F underscore ing butts off for him because we owe him a favor that never F underscore ing existed. Apparently. Sasuke said. And if you want to know the worst part, a voice said. Suddenly a yellow flash appeared behind Sasuke. That seal was one of the easiest to remove. You'd be wise to stay put. Kyuubi said, appearing behind them suddenly. Trust us, it's for the best. Hinata said, a kunai in each hand. Sound 4, Sasuke said, I'd like you to meet some friends of mine, Team Fox. Hinata, can you give me the odds? Naruto asked. A 4-on-4 battle, percentage of beating the snot out of them, 82%. Well let me increase the odds, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Suddenly 4 Naruto clones joined the original. How are the odds now? Somewhere in the 90s. That's good news. You think some clones are enough to stop us? Sakin asked. No, I think some clones and the Harashin no Jutsu are enough. Suddenly all the clones disappeared in bright flashes of yellow light, then reappeared right in front of their targets' heads. They ducked, and the clones missed, except one, mostly because Jirubo was slower than a turtle. He dropped like a bag of rocks. The others reacted instantly. Kidomaru quickly created 6 golden daggers. Tayuya summoned her Doki, and Sakin ran to face Sasuke in battle. Sasuke met him head-on, Sharingan blazing. Hinata went for Kidomaru, Kyuubi as backup, while Naruto tried his luck with the Doki and Tayuya. Sasuke found a whole new challenge in his fight with Sakin. Blocking more than 2 punches at a time was rather interesting, but easily overcome. After a few minutes, Sasuke simply got bored. So he began to back Sakin to a training area he used often. Quickly, he pulled out 3 shuriken and threw them at his target. Sakin easily dodged them all. But then was suddenly pulled to a training pole but an unseen force. What? Simple trip wires. Sasuke said, a genin level attack method, something completely unexpected from a Junin like myself. Sakin glared at him. Now for the follow-up Chunin level attack. Ryuka no Jutsu. Suddenly the wires ignited and the flame raced toward the training pole and engulfed it in an inferno. How dare you? A voice said. Sasuke looked to the side of the burning pole, and saw something disturbing. He blinked several times. It looked exactly like Sakin, with the exception of the growth, which was no longer there. How dare you kill my brother? That explained a few things. Prepare to S. Hinata, Kidomaru, and Kyuubi were all caught in a slock. Kidomaru was suing 4 of his hands to keep Kyuubi from slashing his T open, and he was using the other 2 to parry Hinata's 2 kunai. Normally, he simply held the man behind him with 2 hands and punched the one in front of him, except that Kyuubi had used much more power in his attack than expected, and forced Kidomaru to use some backup. Luckily, he had a backup plan. He spit. Hinata yelled with surprise as a golden mucus-like substance covered her eyes. Kidomaru used the opportunity to slash his golden daggers at Kyuubi. When the Biju saw this, he retreated instantly, and stepped back a few paces. Suddenly, Kidomaru heard the word, Byakugan, and turned just fast enough to see Hinata come at him. She began slashing at him as if she could see in broad daylight. Kyuubi ran away from the conflict. Hinata began slashing like a psychopath, but it was more controlled. Then she threw one of her kunai, quickly preformed some hand sings and punched the boy like no one had ever punched before, Vortex Punch Jutsu. Kidomaru flew back, and landed on the ground with a dull thud. Then he saw it, a charging red battering ram with 2 plow-like blades. It was Kyuubi, about to S him to pieces with 2 of his tails. That was the last thing he saw. Naruto was have a great time. Before the battle, he had placed Harashin seals on the potential field. And it was working wonderfully. Every time one of Tayuya's Doki approached him, he simply teleported. The look on her face was priceless. In actual truth, she would have snarled at him, but this was very hard to do when playing a flute, so instead she glared daggers at him. These failed, miserably. So she continued her melody, which, however sweet, was filled with malice. Naruto decided to end this. He drew his sword, and as soon as the blade was out of the sheath, 2 of the Doki tripped over their own feet. He teleported again, and SD down. Tayuya dodged, and survived. Her flute was not so lucky. It took 2 wrong notes for her to realize what happened. She simply stared at her cleaved instrument for a brief second. Then she screamed a scream that signaled the end of her world. Then she fainted without as much as a breath. Naruto looked down on her unconscious body and said, I should have done that sooner. The 4 regrouped at the center of the compound. How did it go? A little disappointing, Sasuke said. Hinata was rubbing the area around her eyes. It was disgusting. It was alright, Kyuubi said. I think it was a little too easy, Naruto said. The four looked at each other then laughed. Here they were after a battle acting as if it were a test. Alright, Naruto said. How many survivors? I have 2, the girl and the fat guy. I have 1, Sasuke said. There was silence for a second. That's it, Naruto asked. Silence. Okay, let's get these suckers to Tsunade. Naruto turned to Jirubo. I may need some help. After they moved Jirubo, the 4 ninjas came back for Akon and Tayuya. Akon was where Sasuke left him, but Tayuya was nowhere to be found. I wouldn't worry about her, Naruto said. Unless she could find a music shop somewhere, she won't be coming back. A cloaked figure loomed in the alleys of Konoha. It had been 2 weeks. She tried to go back, but that only ended in pain. Her hand moved to the back of her and rubbed it, the consequence of failure still fresh in her mind. She hated her life. Correction, she hated her need for one. She had no reason to live, but she could not bring herself to rest. So instead, she cried herself to sleep every night, and hoped she would not wake up. She hoped in vain. She could not even bring herself to starve to death. She had tried, but her resolve failed and she stole an apple from a corner shop. She had no money, no shelter, she barely had any food. And her was king her. Literally. Why is it that she had heard stories of people who were able to reconstruct their life, after something as tragic as a family but she was unable to even begin? What did they have that she didn't? Hope. A voice said in her head. Hope. What hope? What could hope possibly give her? Life. Where can I find this hope? Then, words that were spoken but 2 weeks ago drifted into her mind. Then she knew what had to be done. She had to find the Namika's mansion. Naruto walked in his mansion, finally getting used to the idea that it was his, and headed to the kitchen. He felt too lazy to walk all the way to Ichiraku, so he decided to finally use the recipe his father and out off or mother left him. His ear twitched. Why, someone cried behind him. Naruto quickly grabbed the attacker's hair and pinned him to the counter. He corrected himself, shoulders are too narrow. Then she began to cry. Oh, great, he sighed. What is it you want from me? I want my F_ing life back. Tayuya, look, if you want to K me, you're gonna have the hardest time. I don't want US. I want you F_ing to help me. Then please ask. You won't impress me much if you attack me out of nowhere. I need you to help me. Well, what can I do? Look at my N. Then he saw it, a black shape with 3 arms stretching outward. A cruise seal. Stay right there, Naruto said as he released her. He began awising it. He quickly sent a message to Kyuubi. Alright, come with me, Naruto said. He led her down to the training area. Tayuya heard the rustling of papers in the next room, and watched as a beautiful woman come from another room, a small silver tube hanging in the kunai sheath strapped to her leg. The rustling stopped. I have it, a strong voice said from the room. It's the seal of the clouds. A red-haired man said as he came into view. A scroll was in his hands. Let me see, Naruto said. Kyuubi handed him the scroll. He quickly looked it over. Alright, Tayuya. Before I continue, you need to know this. What? I can remove your seal, however, it will require something from you. Anything. You must make a conscious effort to change an aspect of your personality. What? That's how it works. A seal like this is bound to you through character traits. So what? I just had to stop doing something and it'd come off. Not quite. Normally, if the trait changes, it simply follows the change. However, I have found a way to keep the seal from adapting. My question for you is, are you willing to make a change? Of course. You can never go back. Never. You must to your old self, and be reborn to a new self. I'm 6 feet under. Then Tayuya, from this day forward, Naruto's hand started to glow red. The old Tayuya will be no more. His hand came down on her seal, and her life flew before her eyes. When the memories stopped barraging her mind and her vision cleared, she saw her seal for the first time. There it hovered in the red aura around Naruto's hand. Never again, he asked. Never again, she repeated, and seal faded into dust. Now come on, we should get you to Tsunade. What? Why? Naruto smiled. Everyone born in Konoha has the right to become a ninja. 2 hours later, Tayuya walked into Tsunade's office, a leaf headband on her head. So Naruto, Tsunade said to the man sitting in her office, I suppose you want her on your team. Well, it couldn't hurt. This is going to be a mess of paperwork. Tsunade grumbled. Hokage-sama. Tayuya said. Please, call me Tsunade. Tsunade, I have some pretty earth-shattering news with me. What? Orochimaru's alive. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.